Hi everybody. Well, I asked my public question. They allowed me to ask my public question. Isn't that amazing? But they didn't allow me to ask the first one, and as most of you don't probably read the blogs that I do, I'll read it out for you. This was the first question that I asked. I wish to know when the victimisation and criminal negligence by elected and non-elected officials of Cardiff County Council is going to end, as highlighted in my blogs and videos on YouTube and found on http://bbccrazydave.blogspot.com, so that I might be rehoused in a bungalow where I will not be subject to the prejudices of the well-adjusted, and live in a home where my peaceful enjoyment and rights to privacy, as outlined in the Human Rights Act, are not violated on a daily basis. In the meantime, I would like installed ASAP a push button system for lighting the landing and stairs of 15 blah Cardiff, so I no longer have to go out every night to switch it off in order to save this council money. I go on a bit more with that, but that was given to the 6 county councillors on the 1st of January. It's now the 26th, 7th, Monday the 20, what is it? The 26th, I think. Yeah, 20, well, is it? Let's have a look in the old journal, if we're up to date, that is. Yeah, it's Monday the 26th of January. And not a peep. Although I did have a Mike Murphy tell me at the public meeting on the 22nd of January that there would be people looking into my situation. Anyway, following sending that public question to the appropriate person, I had the following letter back from Cardiff County Council. I refer to your letter addressed to a number of councillors in which you ask that you be allowed to submit a public question at the next council meeting on the 22nd of January 2009. There are a number of procedural rules relating to the submission of a public question which need to be adhered to, and a copy of the rules are attached for your information. As the question relates to your own particular circumstances, I regret to inform you that the proper officer has rejected your question under paragraph 11.5.5 of these procedural rules as follows. 11.5. The proper officer may reject a question if it, 11.5.5, relates to an individual, group or business, or the questioner's own particular circumstances. I would add that the issues you have raised in your letter are being pursued by council officers. I must also raise with you 2 instances when you recorded images and sound of the council meeting on the 18th of December, and second, more recently, you recorded images and sound of Councillor Roland James on a private premises. Warning you, place the camera in your back. On the premises. You were advised at the council meeting that you were not allowed to take photographs, but it is clear from the YouTube clips after that warning, you placed the camera in your bag and continued to record sound. Such behaviour will not be permitted again. If you ignore this advice, you will be removed from council premises. Should you wish to see and hear the proceedings of council, you may do so by accessing the council's internet site and viewing the official webcast. In relation to taking images of individuals on private premises without their consent, you breach his or her rights under the Data Protection Act. You should consult the Information Commissioner or his website for guidance on the circumstances in which such images may be recorded. Yours sincerely, Jeff Parry, Clerk to the Council. Jeff also enclosed with his letter the procedural rules, which I broke with the asking of my one. And, well, they're quite lengthy. I've typed them up. I've put them on the blog relating to this. So, for those who are interested, it is a bit funny. I'm limited for time with how much I can show on YouTube in one go, and I like to get it all done today if I can. So, I'll give those a miss. Have a look at the blog. It's the latest one, or it will be. So, I wrote back to Jeff like I do. Thanks for your letter dated the 6th of Jan 2009. Received by me today, the 12th of January 2009. I have noted its contents and wondered if my revised question sent via my other Hotmail account has come to your attention. For ease, I will copy paste it at the bottom of this page. I will attend to the contents of your letter when I have the available time. Here then is a copy of the revised question sent on the 10th of Jan 2009. P.S. Is it possible that you could simply email me back with a yes/no to it in its new form, as postal delivery would likely as not take me over the 5 working days necessary to submit another revised one if necessary, to be in time for the 22nd of Jan 2009 full council meeting, so that the neglect mentioned can stop. Yours, David Gabriel. Here's the previous email. I sent the email below on the 5th of January. I wonder if the meeting with, I understand from a meeting with Judith Woodman on the 8th of January that A, the question might not be formulated Well, the question might have to be formulated differently, as personal questions might not be allowed, and B, the Cape areas put us up to certain members of the council receiving emails from my bloody blah Hotmail account. In light of that, I am forwarding this amended version of the question, in the hope that it will be received by you in time scale that will allow me to ask it on the 22nd. Here is the amended question. Is it the usual practice of this council, elected and unelected officials, to victimise and criminally neglect its mental health suffering tenants, or to deny them their rights under Human Rights Act legislation that this country is signed up to? I trust that this will meet with all requirements that you have. All the best, David Gabriel. Well, I didn't finally hear about that until the night before the council meeting. I expected that they'd find some reason to not ask it, and I was quite surprised. So you're allowed, under the rules, you're allowed one other supplementary question to that original one. So when I got home on that, I've been mulling over various supplementary questions that I could ask, and then sort of sat down and wrote a few drafts of what I'd like it to be anyway. When I got to the council meeting, they have a sheet with your public question on, and then the written reply. So I'll read out the written reply. They accepted that question that I just mentioned, and this is their reply. It is not the practice of this council, elected members or officers, to victimise or neglect its tenants in the manner described, nor to deny them rights under the Human Rights Act. The council is committed to equality in service delivery, to treating people fairly and to ensuring that the services we offer are accessible to all. Likewise, we also seek to address inequalities when developing policies and providing local services. I am unaware of any alleged breaches of the human rights legislation, but will ask the council's monitoring officer to investigate any outstanding complaints that are brought to my attention that have not already received a response. You will also be aware that the council also has a corporate complaint policy, and that if any tenant wishes to lodge a formal complaint, it will be investigated accordingly and a response will be provided to the tenant. At the bottom of that, when I received that, I wrote on there, then why is the request for a corporate complaint number still outstanding from January 2006? I did mention that at the end of my thing, but here's the supplementary question, and let's have a look how we're doing for time, just to see if we can get it on. Oh, we'll have to run through it rapid. I'm here now to get up to 10 minutes, but there we go. Okay, supplementary question for the 22nd of Jan 2009. I put it to this council that A, the refusing to allow a citizen to record via video of both full council and any other committee meetings, and B, the limitations placed on public questions as set out in the procedural rules are both violations of the Human Rights Act. For instance, the rule forbidding a public question in commas as it relates to an individual thwarts true accountability of both elected and unelected members of the council. Questions that might well point out systemic failures in this council's duty of care for its vulnerable citizens, thus leaving an individual in a situation where victimisation and criminal negligence can continue unabated, to the detriment of their physical and mental emotional health. As has been the case with a tenant of 15 Garth Place, a tenancy that violates human rights legislation in terms of the right to privacy, the right to peaceful enjoyment of one's home, and the right to the freedom from the threat of harassment. Finally, I ask this council to call for a public inquiry as to why the Welsh Assembly Government has knowingly allowed this council to flaunt these rights for so long, aided and abetted, as both have been, by South Wales Police, the IPCC and the Police Authority, and the BBC, to name but a few, so that no vulnerable adult has to suffer for 9 years at the hands of an uncaring council ever again, as documented in the blogs and videos available at http://bbccrazydave.blogspot.com, which at their core have the greatest good to the greatest number as their primary motivation. I have written on there as well, do I have a seconder, but I failed to ask that, being a bit rattled by the Lord Mayor interrupting me when I got to the 15 Garth Place bit. So, I don't know what they discussed after. I went to have a private chat with a guy called Mike Murphy, seemed a nice bloke, part of the community's neighbourhood renewers, as far as I can remember. And we discussed a couple of things relating to this property. The redesignation of multiple houses and multiple occupancy, shared houses, regardless of whether they got a communal room, changes rateable values, but more importantly, the rent revenue account, and that 30 million that was called rent rebates. The council never pay out any rent rebates. It's paid by central government. If it was a housing association, the only things showing in their general fund for the payment of all those housing benefit claimants that the council has now, as owned by a private housing association, would be 1.5 million, not the 30 million that's been shunted from the rent revenue account into the general fund. It's corporate fraud, people. In the last 10 years, that would have meant a difference of £300 million in the account of another social landlord, and it not showing on any council accounts as £30 million, but 1.5 million. I also asked that in these times of change and banks screwing everybody, about the 15 million paid to private landlords in Cardiff by a housing benefit, and that if government talk about being able to make hard decisions, then I would find no problem with them turning around and saying, well, excuse me people, if you want social housing, then we got to make a hard decision here, and we're going to compulsory purchase any private landlord property that has a housing benefit claimant being living there for longer than 6 months, and we're going to do it today, not next week, not next year, but today. Because in the last 10 years, this council has been responsible for £150 million payment to private landlords, and they don't have one capital asset to show for that spend. And all you do is have shit accommodation that is overpriced, overcrowded, and the people in there really don't have much quality of life. So, human rights issues about housing and architects. When architects divide properties up with just plasterboard screening and type of tenancies that you can see them building all these houses with just flats in them, ought to be really questioned. There we go. That's keeping you up to date on what's been happening. Are we in a time scale?